Welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, recorded live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
That's my incredible story of how I got banned from a pumpkin patch.
Jesus.
Actually, 10-mile radius, I can't go to any church pumpkin patches. But the Satan outfit looked great.
See, I'm picturing you banging a pumpkin.
Oh, no. No, I got into a fist fight with a preacher.
Much less entertaining. So anyway, guys, welcome to the Beacon House Podcast. Today, this will be our official Halloween episode. It's been a huge month for us. We've had all this crazy stuff happen. Thanks for being along the ride, you guys. And so we are very, very, very excited to cap off the month of October and Halloween with some very good friends of ours. We have got Tweester and Daniela from the I Don't Know How to Live podcast. Welcome to the podcast, you guys. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, I'm the disembodied voice known as Tweester.
And this is Daniela. Super happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
And if you guys haven't checked out the I Don't Know How to Live podcast, you guys need to pause
Stop.
this episode for a second.
Fucking go do it.
So much fun. In fact,
Costanzo.
I had
my favorite part, dude.
I hadn't heard of, what's the one? It's like a bunch of letters. XNV.
Nexium.
Nexium.
Yeah.
That's one of the new ones that just got busted up, yeah.
And the thing is like they barely talked about it on the last podcast on the left. Like Henry Zabrowski brought it up, and then you guys like talked about it, and I was like, finally, someone's covering.
I'm surprised they would barely talk about it.
Well,
really
they were talking
relevant.
about Jonestown, and they just brought that one up and then continued about Jonestown.
See, we specifically didn't want to fall into that trap. We were like, oh, let's talk about the same 5 cults everyone talks about every single time they talk about cults. We're like, no, we know there's a whole
Branch
weird
Davidian,
world
Jonestown.
of cults
Right.
out there, you know, that people aren't talking about. They're just as weird and probably more fucked up.
Yeah.
And the Nexium thing is huge. Like, it just happened not that long ago.
And I didn't think cults were like that anymore. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
think they were like that kind of cults anymore.
And it's like a big business.
Yeah.
It's almost like Scientology. Like,
And the beautiful thing
Yeah.
about it is because it's such a modern cult, because this happened so recently, there's video of everything. So you can see how crazy these people are. And you're like,
Yeah.
you don't have to like take their word from someone who was like
That's
around.
beautiful. Yeah.
You can like, 20 years from now, I could be like, you guys don't remember, but the Nexium cult, they're like, nah, I pulled it up right here. I'm looking at it now. Ah, fuck. All right. Well, I guess check it out for yourself.
Back in my day, it was Flavor Aid.
Yeah, I
Like,
can't
all
tell
right, well, now we have
stories anymore.
Kool-Aid.
Everyone can just
Yeah.
look it up themselves. They're
yeah,
like, "Nah, I
right
see the
before
video."
we did that, we watched a video of Allison Mack and the leader of Nexium.
Yes.
And you can tell how crazy they both are.
She's got the 1,000-yard stare, like they just pulled her out of a ditch from World War II and like sat her in this chair, and they're like, "You're gonna get interviewed."
Oh my God.
Awesome. Yeah, and if you guys, what they're referring to, and the I Don't Know How to Live podcast, they did a raging 2-parter on cults, and it was fucking amazing. I mean, you guys have got a ton of good episodes. I particularly enjoyed the one where you guys talked about Husker Du, and I was like Bob Mould, and I was like, damn, that's fucking rad. But guys, seriously, everybody, like, stop, go check it out. If you follow us, God forbid, you maybe still have good taste, go subscribe to it right now and get on board. So if you're not listening to us, you can be listening to them, okay?
Pretty explicit, though. I will tell you that.
Well,
Yeah.
Some gory shit.
if they've gotten through, this
Yeah.
one.
There's one thing.
Like, I never realized how what an uncultured fucking sloth I am until I listen to this podcast and I'm editing it. And, dude, I'm just dropping F-bombs left and right. And I don't do it. I hope I don't do it. Like,
Apparently, studies say on Facebook that means you're more intelligent.
well, yeah, we'll see about that.
I do know
It's written
cathartic.
by the guy who likes to say fuck a lot.
Yeah.
Or less likely to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Apparently.
That's good, too.
'Cause you, like,
yeah.
release that energy.
You know how many guys could have been saved? They just let a good fuck out every now and then.
You're going to be seeing me just eating a pile of cheeseburgers. Fuck. What are you doing?
Cheeseburgers so fucking
Just
good.
trying to keep my
Like,
cholesterol.
counteracting. Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
feels good when you say it.
cardiovascular health. What?
You can tell. You just go, fuck. And you're like, oh, God, I feel so good.
So anyway, how's Halloween? The month of Halloween been for you guys? What's been going on?
Been really busy, but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Pretty
I
awesome, though.
haven't gotten to do as much spooky stuff as I wanted.
Right.
But I have been watching horror movies.
Yeah?
And I've been introducing some horror movies I didn't think I would. To like my girlfriend hadn't seen The Conjuring, and I was like, oh, come on,
What?
Jesus Christ.
Okay,
All right.
Yeah.
okay.
So but like we have to trade off. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pick a movie, and I'm gonna use my pick to help you by getting you into some horror culture.
We're going to improve you.
Which like horror culture is like mainstream culture now. So I'm like, I'm helping.
Yeah.
And then next time she picks something, and then we go back to mine, and I'm like, all right, I got to think of another good like horror movie you got to watch. She came to see Halloween, the new one, with me though, and she loved it. So
okay, let's get into that. Speaking of the movie Halloween, I saw it last night, and it's fantastic. And I was with our mutual friend Leslie, and she like real nonchalantly just while after the movie had started and everything, she goes, "Hey, you know, Tweester from the podcast." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "His mom's in this." And I was like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" She goes, "Yeah, she's right there on screen next to Jamie Lee Curtis." And then just like went back to having a soda. And I was like, hold the fuck on for a minute. What? Like this was literally last night. So I was like, he's coming on the podcast tomorrow. She's like, yeah, it's right there. Just real. So can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Well, it sounds like Leslie told you about that the same way my mom told me about that.
Which, by the way, like we haven't said on I Don't Know How to Live that we are actually brother and sister.
Okay.
So we're siblings. So it's our mom. And she was like, oh yeah, I'm in this movie. And she started to describe it and said Jamie Lee Curtis. And I was like, are you fucking talking about Halloween? Like she had no idea what she was even in. And I was like, that's one of my favorite horror movies ever. Like my mom is in Halloween. That's the coolest thing.
I was like, how... Jamie Lee Curtis, a scream queen? How is she? And she was like, oh, she's very nice. And I'm like, oh, come on.
Oh, man. I love that. I love how it's just like, it's like, I'm just checking on you guys, see how it's going. The weather's nice here. By the way, I was in Halloween. Whoa.
And she wasn't just like a random extra in the background. She was like interacting with Jamie Lee Curtis. And was like, yeah, she gave me some direction. We were like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever.
She was like, hey, I'm going to go by here. And when I do, you can do this or you can do that, whatever you want. And she's like, okay. And then you see her. So in the scene, that's not spoilers. Fuck it. Like, all right. So there's a scene where
somebody died. If you weren't prepared,
I'll explain why it's not spoilers. All right. Because like there's a police line and they're investigating a murder. Yeah. Ooh, spoiler.
Yeah. Wait, in a Halloween movie?
Yeah.
No. You gotta be shitting me.
And Jamie Lee Curtis is at the police line, kind of like looking off into the scene. And my mom's standing right beside her. And then when Jamie Lee Curtis turns to like leave and walk away, my mom has to like she just kind of like sheepishly like gets out of the way so she can leave, kind of looks at her and then goes back.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, and now I'm gonna look out for it. Like I'm gonna miss all the other stuff and just be like, "Where's Tweester's mom? Where's Tweester and Daniela's mom?" There, got it.
That's what I almost forgot, and that scene came up, and I was like, "Oh, that's my mom!" Like,
yeah, same. Because the movie's good. So you
I almost
must have been
missed it.
so surreal to just see her.
So crazy.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah,
God.
We were in a packed theater and just like our little road just would go, oh, and everyone's like, what? Did we miss something?
Crazy. And the movie's fantastic too, by the way.
Yeah, it was great.
It's brutal.
I totally love it.
I haven't seen it yet. However, I did see someone wrote an article that said because of the new Halloween remake, we are definitely in a golden age of horror movies. And when I saw that, I went, okay, that means the movie's good. However, I kind of thought we were in a golden age of horror movies when Hereditary came out or The Witch. Like both of those are just rad.
Or when the remake of The It was actually good.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Or Get Out. Get Out was fantastic.
I mean, we just the last like 3 or 4 years, like horror movies been killing it.
Yeah,
fantastically.
I love it.
I agree. I totally agree, man. I've got my fingers crossed about fucking Pet Sematary next year. I'm just.
Oh man,
you saw the preview to that in Halloween, right?
Yeah, and he actually had sent it to me like the day it actually was. I follow like Pet Sematary official on Instagram. Like I'm such a fucking maniac for the original Pet Sematary.
I am too.
All right, well then I'll go ahead and tell you this movie's not for you,
dude. I bet it's not going to live
up. This movie is for the new people who haven't seen Pet Sematary.
Yeah, man,
so,
I know.
You gotta go in. I
gotta wipe it.
This is not supposed to erase the memory of my Pet Sematary. This is just supposed to be a new one for other people too.
And it's more accurate to the book apparently, which is I should be happy about because I read the book and it scared the fuck out of me. And like, I mean,
the directors did
Starry
Eyes, which was
fucking
metal.
Awesome. I thought Starry Eyes was.
I love the trailer depicted the trucks as being basically their own creatures. Like whenever they're sitting there, like getting out of the car, and the truck goes by, and the dust's kicked up, and they're like that thing. Flew
that's kind of where it
by.
all starts, like from the
right.
But I was so shitty. I was like the fucking cat doesn't look as cool, Like I was so salty about it, It's like the fucking original cat.
It's a huge coon cat. I think
fucking
massive.
Church, dude. The original Church was badass.
All right, calm down.
You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna wipe. But by the time it gets here, I promise I'm gonna be like.
For me, it's like the little kid. It'd be hard
Gage.
It's
I mean,
he's
the-
so
so
good.
perfect.
Yeah,
Like, the way I tried to-
you
Fred
can't
Gwynn-
get any better than that.
Fred fucking Gwynn.
Hey, don't-
Exactly.
John Lithgow.
John Lithgow's great. Dexter season 4, he was fucking lights out good.
Yeah.
But Fred Gwynn,
Yeah, Herman Munster is in it. Like,
I just
really hard.
we're here. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the original Pet Sematary. I just feel like the trailer for this one already just seems like I'm going to be at the edge of my seat.
When this
the
one has a
entire movie.
chance to be more fucking like this one has a chance to be a lot more updated. Like it's kind of like I'll occasionally tell people there'll be somebody that works for me that's like 20 and I'll go, dude, they'll be talking about vampire movies and I'm like, have you guys ever seen Lost Boys?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sexy
come
sax
on.
guy.
Well, they go back and watch it and they go, that was the dumbest fucking movie I've ever seen. I'm like, what are you talking about? It
Yeah.
was so cut. And then I'll go back and watch it and I would go, oh man, it is.
See, my first vampire movie was John Carpenter's Vampires.
I
Which
still
is
love Lost Boys,
pretty
but
good.
like,
Bram
Yeah,
Stoker's
like-
Dracula.
Bram
Biker
Stoker's
opens
Dracula.
up the door, gets
Fucking
split
rad.
in half by fingernails. You're just like, good God.
Priest gets his head
dude.
punched off.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
brutal.
But I just realized now.
Now
like,
it's Twilight.
And South Park did an episode about that. Like, you
what a
can't,
waste.
You just can't make people see it the way you saw it. You know,
Yeah.
like I remember when I was young and I saw Lost Boys, I was exhilarated. I was like, oh my god, like it's so
And the
racy.
feel of it, you can't beat it.
It had the
It's so
slick. I felt the
great.
same way when I first saw The Crow.
Yeah.
You know, and people think The Crow's stupid now. I'm just like,
Oh my god, I love the Crow. I'll always
What?
love
All
The
right,
Crow.
you know what?
Who thinks The
these
Crow
people
is
just
so
have
I'm
bad
talking to the
taste.
wrong people. You know
It's
what
just,
I mean?
yeah, these people just have bad taste.
I don't know if
You
I
need
could
to-
be friends with somebody who
Fuck those
thinks The
guys.
Crow's
I like you two.
There's
Yeah,
6 billion people on the planet. You got to talk to these fuckers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I need to expand my circle.
why did you look at me and do that like shitty head nod? I like The Crow just as much.
That wasn't directed at you, but thanks for making it all about you. Okay.
What I'm upset about is that everybody was so worried about Khal Drogo or holy shit, I forgot his name.
Fucking Jason.
Jason
Jason
Momoa?
Momoa was going to be the new Crow in the remake, but because he got so much backlash, he was like, I'm not going to do it. He's like, this is clearly going to be bad for me.
That would be a little odd.
Yeah,
to
well, then
admit.
he doesn't deserve to be the Crow. Crow wouldn't back out.
That's true.
Yeah, that's damn
But like,
right.
come on, like someone's got. If they're you want a new Crow movie, yeah. Well, someone's got to do it.
Yeah. I guess they wanted someone like lankier and more emo, and he just looks like everything's going right for him right now.
He does. He does. It's because he's too happy. He smiles too much, and they don't like it.
If they don't look like they listen to The Cure, then they're not allowed to be.
If they don't own a Nine Inch Nails bumper sticker somewhere, even
Yeah.
on the inside of their Trapper Keeper back in the closet, fuck them.
I don't want a young Crow, anyways. I want an old Willem Dafoe Crow. Oh, but I don't
There you
want.
go.
Yeah, give me an old Crow.
Christopher Walken.
Oh my god.
I don't want to see Christopher Walken in that
It's
same
wrong.
thing.
It's all wrong. It's the wrong tone.
I just watched him in Prophecy last night, so that actually
Prophecy
was
is-
really
he
funny.
is-
That was actually great. Yeah.
And it's hilarious. He just
Yeah,
really
yeah, totally.
hands
Is.
it up.
He
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah,
He-
Viggo
I just-
Mortensen's the devil in that.
Really?
Yeah, you have to do a double take. Like he's almost unrecognizable.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You
he's
go,
so good,
You go
too.
Aragorn.
Yeah.
I would fight for you, my king. Oh, I could talk about horror movies all day.
I could do.
Could, yes.
I have watched so many horror movies this month. It's unreal.
What all you got? What are some of the big standouts?
Oh my god! I just watched They Live the other day, which I watch every year
With Roddy Piper?
Yes,
Fucking
I
A.
love that movie.
Holy shit, the
there are
classic.
too many though. Like, I watched The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which I really like that a lot.
I liked it,
I
too.
like the courtroom horror.
I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot too.
They do flashbacks well in that movie.
Yeah.
They actually did it well.
Yep.
I always watch Bram Stoker's Dracula. I always watch The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 4. 'Cause that's the best one, in my opinion.
I don't remember.
That's the one where they make fun of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
God,
and
okay.
Then, yeah.
His hair's so queer. I heard that.
Did you watch Malevolent on Netflix?
No.
Don't.
Don't.
Is it bad?
Have you guys
Oh,
have
God,
you guys
yeah.
been watching The Haunting of Hill House? Have you seen any of that?
No,
yet?
no.
No, I've been
Not
wondering
yet.
if it's worth
It's
watching.
man, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
Is it?
really.
I'll have to check
And
it
I
out.
know that there's so much hype about it right now, and I'm real skeptical of bandwagon things like that. But like,
Yeah.
I'm all the way to the last episode.
See,
I know
I've-
you've seen the whole thing, and
Yep.
Leslie's seen it, Rachel's seen it. I'm pretty sure Rachel binged it in like one day. But like, man, like it's not like every single fucking shot is just like like we feel probably about Pet Sematary, but like,
Yeah.
but some of the performances by the actresses in that movie or in that series are like pretty.
The
like,
one thing I
whoa.
love about it is that every shot has purpose. Like everything that's going on, even in the background, you'll see things pop up. Like they'll be, because they live in a haunted house as kids, so they'll be like them in a flashback as kids, and they're walking around back and forth having conversations. The camera's panning, and every now and then you'll just see like some dude with like a white face and no eyes, like in the background in a doorway, and then it'll pan back and he'll be gone.
Supposedly there's like
and
27 hidden ghosts somewhere in the series,
and they'll never even talk about that guy again. They'll just
Yeah.
show him in the background and then keep going with the thing, and that's it. And you're just watching it being like, ooh, there's one, and there's another one, and it's just, I don't know. It
And
really
there's a couple parts
it.
near the beginning where I was sort of like, this is a little papery, kind of like, I don't know if I'm buying this, but literally by like after it develops a little bit, I was like, shit, I'm in. Like, it's pretty good.
That sounds like the kind of like detail that people who love horror movies would put into a show that they're like, it's a love letter kind of thing.
Totally, I think so.
It's the director of Oculus and Hush.
Okay, see,
I liked Oculus.
yeah, Oculus and
Yeah.
Hush are both very like contained, self-contained. Like he keeps it in a small space and works well with it.
Yeah, and one of the main girls is the girl from Hush. It becomes so personal.
So this show's actually scary then.
Yes,
I think so.
That's
Because
what I'm wondering.
I've been burned in the past by, I like horror movies.
Yeah.
Horror series burn me a lot. So
Yeah.
I usually don't even bother with them, because you want to make a 2-hour movie scary. That's hard enough.
Sure.
You want to try to make an entire series scary without
Right.
losing tension and without deflating.
Yeah.
That seems
It's
really
really
tough.
difficult.
they do it so well, because in between those jump scares, there's
It's drama.
family
There's a lot
drama,
of drama.
family drama and dread. But then there's also like just creepy moments where it's not really a jump scare, but you're just like kind of like digging your nails into the to the chair, arms of the chair, and you're just like, oh man, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And then nothing happens.
Well, and I
You're
think it
like,
would probably
okay.
fail if the actors didn't shred. I mean, like the one of the main actors is like the mom, and it's the girl that was in Gerald's Game that played the girl tied to the
Oh,
bed.
yeah.
And like by this, I mean, again, I haven't seen the last episode, but I've seen almost all. By nearly the end of it, man, she's like I was thinking, like, fuck, man, I wonder if she had a hard time like putting the character down. Like it becomes so dreadful that I'm like, man, I can see this girl needing therapy after they wrapped. Like it's really like tough, kind of like probably a lot of people said about Hereditary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That movie fucked me.
Hereditary. I enjoyed it.
For
Some
me,
people hate movies like
I don't
that.
get scared easily at all. It's really hard for me to get scared watching a horror movie. So it has to have substance to it. Like it has to have some kind of intrigue, even if it's just like, thought provoking in whatever way. So yeah, just like a horror movie that only has pop scenes, like it's not good enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to check this show out, because I've been waiting for somebody to say something good about it that like gives me a reason.
It sounds
to
like
go
a
check
good
it
drama
Mm-hmm.
that's centered around horror.
Yeah.
So now that I have
Totally.
a good expectation, I think I can go watch it.
And it doesn't get in a hurry. So, and I kind of struggle with that. I struggle with that with Hereditary. I've got super short attention span, and I'm like fucking,
Yeah.
I watched Hereditary and The Witch, and then went and listened to their reviews of it, and I was just like, yes.
Oh, they get it. They totally get it.
Someone saw the things in the background, and like they got it. Because I asked other people, I'm like, what'd you think of The Witch? They're like, worst movie I've ever seen. I'm like, how can The Witch be the worst movie you've ever seen? It was so good. It's such a good like cult witch movie.
It's
Yeah.
because it didn't follow the same formula as a lot of the horror movies they're used to watching and that they enjoy. So they probably went in expecting it to be like that, and then it was this other thing, and they're like, oh, this sucks. But
They probably watch like 2 or 3 movies a year, so they don't need new movies. They're like, it's like, a guy who reads one book a year. He doesn't care if it's the same book every year, because it's one book a year.
Yeah, exactly. No commitment.
Yeah.
It's literally nothing to lose,
Let me ask you this: with The Witch and Hereditary, did you ever watch It Comes at Night?
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
It Comes at Night. It Comes at Night. So when I saw the previews, the trailer to The Witch and Hereditary,
Yeah.
I got what kind of movie it was, right? It Comes at Night was the only one I felt was a little the way that they did their previews and their trailers, I felt was purposefully misleading.
Oh yeah, they wanted you to think it was a zombie movie.
So that annoyed me a little bit. Now, with that being said, it's a decent movie. I'm not going to say it's great,
okay.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
because I think that it fails to commit to what it's like. Ooh, we're kind of going to do this like subversive, like, oh, it's a metaphor. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not fully committing to the metaphor. So which one is it?
Yeah. And so The Witch and Hereditary are like up here for me. It Comes at Night. A lot of people hated it, and it's at the halfway mark for me. Like you, like I enjoyed it. I got
beautifully
it.
shot.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like the sense of dread and like anxiety you get from it is it's there. But
it's good.
I definitely
like
thought there was going to be something that comes at night.
it just doesn't pay off. The guy like who was writing it, or a woman or whoever it is, they lost their balls at the end. They're like, I'm not going to end this movie.
I fucking hate that.
It's like, that's not
when they don't stick the landing.
Yeah, it's like that doesn't make you more artistic. That makes you a coward.
Yeah. And it's like, I get it. I get what you're going for, but man, you only had one creepy monster scene.
You know, the person who wrote that movie like saw Hereditary and The Witch and like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
They did it.
I will say, I fucking
Here's my
hate
horror
it
card.
when trailers are misleading. I cannot stand that.
Or when they
they're
give
like,
away too
they're
much.
telling you it's this movie, and then it's not. Like, you're lying. I like, that just bothers me.
Or if literally the only things we're seeing were in the trailer. We recently saw Bad Times at the El Royale.
Yeah.
And literally just watched the trailer. Nothing else happens, but it's like 2.5 hours long. I mean, it's scathingly slow and bad, and like, it's terrible.
Someone was watching a slew of Quentin Tarantino movies when they wrote that movie.
Yeah, totally, and not pulling it off.
They were just smoking weed, like, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, watch.
Fucking don't cut the shot. Just let it go.
I feel like, because Drew Goddard's the one that directed it, right? The guy who
I don't know.
directed
So
Cabin in the
somebody that was asleep at the wheel directed it.
Because I think it's the same guy that directed Cabin in the Woods, and he was like, I can do anything. And it's like, no, you can't.
Cabin in the Woods was badass.
Cabin in the Woods was great.
Fucking loved it.
But it had a
man.
great script.
Yeah, and even when it got silly, I was on board. Like they took me right along. I wasn't like, oh, this is God. I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cabin in the Woods is a horror movie for people who love horror movies.
Definitely.
It's exactly it. If you don't love horror movies already, you're not going to get a lot of that stuff. It's another one of those. It's a love letter to horror.
100%. 100%. Well, you guys, we wanted something we were kind of hoping to talk about before we get out of the month of October. We've actually been building up this for a long time, but we were going to do a little bit about monsters or supposed monsters or cryptozoology and like that kind of stuff. And like we thought you guys would be perfect to talk about this kind of stuff with because you guys have such a like forensically awesome podcast. And like I said, the episodes you guys did about the cults and stuff were just. If you guys didn't pause before and listen to it, like I'm watching you. Fucking
And it makes it seem like all we've listened to is the cold episode. There's other great episodes.
No, there's a ton
as
of great episodes. God, those really
Especially
got
when you
me.
brought in our good friend Rachel Reitz and talked about dancing.
It was awesome.
Yeah, go
that
dancing.
brought me
Awesome.
back. That brought me back to my base banana days.
Yeah. We tried it.
Valerian.
Yeah, I mean, like the spooky stuff is a big part of it, but that's definitely not what it's all about. It's not just a spooky podcast.
And I started listening to the one about the biblical narratives and stuff like that. It was
Yeah,
fucking
dude,
I love the
Samson one?
Samson one. I think that's
So
hysterical.
that's the one I'm on.
I
I'm
laughed
Samson is
so
such a
hard at
dick.
that.
It was so good.
Even Hunter would enjoy it because it's accurate. Like I have a theologian on my show, and
talking
we're
about it.
talking. Yeah, we're talking about it. He's reading from scripture.
Oh, yeah.
So like, argue if you want to.
I get it. Go on. Have you usually the guy that does a little bit of research? Have you got some things?
I've got a few things.
There's obviously the big ones. There's the big ones like
Bigfoot,
the
Loch Ness
Monster.
Loch Ness
yeah.
Monster, blah blah blah. Everybody's already
And I actually got into an argument with you about because there's different races of Bigfoot depending on where
supposedly.
you live.
Oh yeah, the stink ape and like all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
like down in Louisiana,
Skunk
like
ape
south
and
and skunk
fucking
ape. In
Yeti.
Florida,
Yeti, yeah.
Yeti's going to be in South America or in like
The Himalayas.
Himalayas.
Definitely Himalayas.
It's just like, is Bigfoot warm? Is Bigfoot cold? Is Bigfoot in a swamp? Like that's literally all it is.
Yeah.
Well, like Bigfoot's northeast, and then Sasquatch is like northwest and like west coast.
This Bigfoot eats deep dish. This Bigfoot eats New York style
Yeah.
pizza.
And some are bigger. It's
Sasquatch
smaller.
is sort of closer to like Portland. He recycles, you know.
Yeah,
Like
it's
fucking-
kind of silly when you start looking at them all.
I know.
And what's weird is I looking up all these different things of like cryptozoology and like different monsters and things like that. The more you look into it, the more ridiculous it becomes.
the harder it is to
And
swallow.
the harder it is to like want to believe.
It's hard to believe in monsters these
And-
days.
Although Bigfoot isn't the craziest thing.
No.
You know what? I mean, like,
Definitely.
if somebody if you've never seen a giraffe in your life and somebody described it to you, you'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And like,
It's like a deer with a really long neck.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like this
It's
guy's
not-
strong.
spots.
I mean, it's not the hardest thing for me to believe that Bigfoot is real. Like, reptilians running the government, yeah, that's like a different story. But Bigfoot, I mean,
Well, and there really was kind of a Bigfoot, like back in the Gigantopithecus was like this fucking,
Yeah.
that kind of like this massive orangutan that sort of fits the mold, and they found its teeth. I don't know.
Yeah, when they talk about the missing link, it's because there's a whole chain. You can go look them up and like see them in museums
Yeah,
and stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of Bigfoot.
There's
looking
the
motherfuckers.
Hobbit Man, which were the island of fuck. Somebody Google it. But they were alive at the same time as humans, but they were tiny kind of primate type people.
Were they? You said they were alive at the same time as humans.
They were on the Isle. Was it the Isle of Florence?
I bet we fucked them.
Totally right.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
There's one thing you can count on humanity to do. It's
That's right. Did
fuck
you hear that they
everything.
finally found just the last few years, they finally found evidence that we fucked Neanderthals?
No shit?
Yeah.
Because
Now
they used to
see-
say Neanderthals didn't make it into our lineage. Like they were over here and we came from something else that like was like a plains.
The most evidence points to that we probably killed them.
Right,
I was
right.
like, that's what we do, I
And
guess.
here's my question when it comes to Bigfoot.
Kill and fuck.
with
2018.
With that being said, like the evidence of sleeping with the Neanderthals, is it possible that they just survived and have just been living in the woods, like deep in forested areas, and anytime construction moved into their area, they just slowly move
Well, here's
away?
what's funny. Neanderthals, they say, were actually smaller.
Yeah.
Like, they were littler than
Evolution.
we are.
You know,
Yeah,
over
I
100
guess.
years
I
I
ago.
think the biggest problem is that we just haven't found a Bigfoot. That's the biggest problem is like we just haven't found any bones, any.
Yeah.
Well, we
There's
haven't found a
those guys
fucking
in
Bigfoot
Georgia
corpse.
that found that it was like it looked like a Bigfoot, and then like scientists came and took hair from it, and they're like, this doesn't match any hair that we ever have. And then it was like, it's because it's a Halloween outfit. Like,
Yeah.
it's fake.
Yeah.
Right. Well, have you guys seen the footage, the really popular Bigfoot footage from like the 80s that some guy
The
took
one
at
of
a
the guy
creek?
walking through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't they prove that was fake or
I
something?
don't know. Did they?
I don't know. They proved that the Loch Ness
stabilized
Monster
it.
photos.
They did the thing where they like stabilized the guy walking, so the whole like screen's doing this, but
Right.
he's walking normal, and he's just walking like a normal dude.
There was one episode of the Joe Rogan show where him and another guy who was maybe a taxidermist or something like watched that video over and over again, and they fucking tore it apart. But just based on the way that the guy walked or something, they were like, "That's obviously a guy in a suit." And I was like, "I don't know," but I agree with you though. Like my whole thing is, fucking, how come we haven't found a corpse
Yeah.
in this many years? Like it's just harder and harder to believe. We're
Land
finding shit
is
that
not like the ocean. Like
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's like no land that we haven't
They're
traversed.
digging up shit that lived in the Permian period
Yeah.
Unless
before
they-
dinosaurs, but we can't find a fucking Bigfoot in Minnesota. You know?
Unless they're more sophisticated and they do pyres, and they like burn them on a pyre.
That's also
Like a
true. Like
Viking
we don't.
funeral?
Yeah.
Yeah, like do it in a cave.
If
like,
they
somebody
are
see
real, we
that?
don't know
Yeah.
what they do.
If
with
they're
their
intelligent
dead.
enough to
Like,
have Viking funerals, though, they're also intelligent enough to commit murder and like hide bodies and stuff. We'd still find
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you have a lot of missing people in the Northwest Redwood Forest.
no, I mean like to each other.
Yeah.
Like one of them would slip up, kill another one, and their body would end up somewhere.
Or what if they're cave dwellers, and the ones that we see are just the ones that maybe got like banished to the outside?
That's also
Ah,
I
The
considered
Descent,
that
eh?
too.
Also a good movie.
Actually, I
Made
thought
me
that movie was
terrified
going
of
to
caves.
suck.
Yeah.
I thought that movie was going to be horrible. I was pleasantly surprised.
And I love it when they're like, when they do creature features like that, and they go, and it happened in the Appalachian Forest. I'm like, yes, these are old mountains. Very old. There could be things in there.
Well, there is one that I read about it this week. The Wampus cat. That's sort of indigenous to like East Tennessee. Well, the northern Georgia, East Tennessee, blah, 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 blah. And there's some like weird Indian myth. Have you guys ever heard of that thing?
The Wampus cat. I've heard the name before. Refresh my memory.
Supposedly, it's this thing that's got like 6 legs. I guess it kind of starts out being like a cougar, but it's got 6 legs. So 4 legs kind of walk. I guess it's more like a centaur, and then 2 legs can fight. And fucking, and now it just sounds like a big furry caterpillar. But and in my mind, I kind of like that. I kind of want to. I'm going to go with that. But supposedly there was like some tribe, and there was a spirit in the forest, and this one girl had to go face it, and she put this like bird mask or the mask of the forest or something on, and went and faced the thing down, but it killed her husband, and then she became like this spirit that roams the mountains. But it's kind of a protector
oh my God,
of sorts.
I've heard of this.
You know what a Wampus cat?
I think I heard that like in a completely different way when I was a kid. That reminds me of
You probably heard it accurately, and I
Yeah.
just did a shit job of
Do you
explaining
know what this
it.
sounds like, Daniela?
What?
Skinwalker.
Yeah. Do you guys know anything about skinwalkers?
I know of it. Go ahead and give me.
Okay,
Fill us in a little.
skinwalkers are witches that can shapeshift into different kinds of animals, usually like foxes, coyotes, but they can also take the form of any human.
Okay.
So they're originally from like Navajo culture, says that skinwalkers were healers or medicine men. Okay, in Navajo culture, healers and medicine men study dark magic as well as good magic to have a better understanding of good magic. And then I guess, the skinwalkers just took more of a liking to the dark magic and became like evil witches.
Okay. This sounds exactly like that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that if you ever look into their eyes, they can possess you.
Or like hypnotize you or something.
Yeah. I think skinwalkers are also the ones that were said to be like, they would like mimic crying babies in a village so that somebody would come out and then they would like
Because they can like
kill
sound
you.
different and look different. You know what?
Yeah.
Skinwalkers are fucking OP.
Yeah. someone needs to nerf that right away.
Or like I need to find out how to do that because
Yeah.
that sounds unkillable.
Shit, man, no kidding. Wow.
I think Native American and like old school, like old American supernatural things are just the coolest. Like
Yeah.
skinwalkers, wendigos, which
Yeah.
is like a
Wendigo.
creature that's born out of cannibalism.
Wendigo is
Fucking
one of
A.
my favorite
Yeah.
ones.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
just so cool.
All I want to see is a Wendigo with like a pet chupacabra, and like
Shit.
someone could make me that painting. That would be
It's like
amazing.
holding it like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. and
Yeah,
petting
it's
it.
just petting it. It's like you
Man.
can have the scraps.
Talk a little bit about the backstory of the Wendigo. You said it comes from cannibalism. I've heard about it, but I don't know all the
I
details.
want to say people get lost in the woods and convert to cannibalism. They go insane and turn into a Wendigo.
Or if they purposefully do too.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is there's a couple different. Every single time you go into cryptozoology or haunting or something, especially the older it is, there's going to be different accounts. And so just be careful of anyone who tries to swear that there's one that's like absolutely true because fuck them, they don't know.
They have no idea.
But there's multiple accounts, but what they all have in common is that yes, cannibalism is involved. And if you keep eating people, if you not just like once, but if you like cannibalism becomes a part of your diet, then you end up becoming a Wendigo. You become this like creature with like long gangly arms and
Yeah.
legs, and you become like thin, and you grow like nails and like teeth. Like you become like basically a more monstrous human. You just look like even more of a carnivore.
Fucking A, dude.
Yeah.
There's actually a game.
That sounds like the Donner Party thing, the story you told like a couple episodes ago about the people up in the mountain pass. They all ate each other, and it was that one famous cannibal guy.
Well,
How does that tie into the Wendigo? I know
Sure-
that story.
Surely that must have produced a Wendigo at some point.
Like they didn't tell you that guy became.
That
a
was like
Wendigo
fucking
later.
all the
Yeah.
Native
That was like
Ameri-
Wendigo boot camp.
all the
Shit.
Native Americans are on the mountain watching these people suffer, and they're just like white people.
Yeah. It's like
They're not going to turn to the Wendigo. They're just going to eat each other like weirdos.
yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of the Rake?
The rake.
Yeah.
Is that the one that showed up in the camp or the? What was it? It's like someone put up one of those motion sensor that takes pictures, and it's like the all white creature with the like weird white eyes.
I don't know. No, because the Rake is this one's so fucking wacky. It's supposed to be like part human, part dog.
Okay.
And its head is supposed to be more dog-like than human-like, but then kind of have the body structure. Yeah, I mean, maybe
Casey's got a picture on the
that
phone.
reminds me of
Creepy
the creatures in Descent. That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think that's more of a. Actually, that looks really gangly and carnate. That looks more like a Wendigo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's weird is
That dude who took that picture's dead now.
It's like it's supposed to be on one of those motion cameras that catches deer, like so hunters can find out where the deer are.
Yeah.
If I found that, I'd be like, never going to those woods
No,
again.
exactly.
Nope.
Dang.
Yeah, no, but the Rake, it's so fucking weird. It's like part human, part dog. They're mostly seen in northeastern United States, like particularly New York. And the creepy thing is, like, people who say they've seen it say that his stance is kind of like his body's contorted and twisted. So when he's standing in front of you, he's kind of like sideways also.
Amazing.
Also, if you look into his eyes, then he will come after you and eat you.
Shit.
And there have been like letters and diaries found of people describing the Rake. Like after they've died, people have found these diaries and letters. There's one that I read a long time ago. There's one from like 1880 where this guy wrote a letter to somebody before he died saying that he was going to get killed by this thing, part human, part dog creature. And then he like died. And so he found that letter.
Good.
You know who's safe?
I was about to say, good lord.
You're like, good.
The Z generation. The Z generation never looks anyone in the eyes. They're safe from like all these things.
The creature's like, look at me, and he's like at his
Yeah.
phone. He's like, hold on, just one
They
second.
could walk
Please.
through an entire murder forest and come out on the other side just fine because they didn't look at anything.
All the ghosts are like hovering, like, look at me.
It doesn't work if you don't look.
Yeah, fucking, they're like, was that the rake? I don't know. I was texting.
Wendigo's just starving in the forest. Like, You know, if Wendigos were real and like there was a forest that like had multiple Wendigos, I bet the first people to know would be the mafia. And they'd be like, Jimmy's talking.
And that's kind of like one of my favorite cryptids is the thing from the movie Brotherhood of the Wolf. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I did.
And
the French film?
The French film. And that's actually a true story.
How much of it?
Well,
do you remember this movie?
Well, that's kind of the thing. Like, I heard that story like a long time ago, and I've talked about it a little on this podcast, but this will be the official my story about it. But fucking, when I was a kid, my dad had this book, and it was like Unsolved Tales, some weird thing, and he would read me stories out of it. And one of them, the name of the story was "Who or What Was the Beast of Le Gévaudan," or Le Gévaudan, depending on how French you are. But anyway, there was this thing in France a couple hundred years ago, like late 1700s, that was killing people like fucking. It was going out of style. And it was people that were typically in this little bitty town called Le Gévaudan, and it was up in the kind of the mountains, and there were a lot of people like herders, and like the kids would take like sheep and up into the mountains to graze and come back down. When the thing would kill them, tear their heart out and drink their blood. And like it went on a fucking tear. And it killed so many people, and there was all the reports to like what it was are all mixed, kind of like you were talking about the rake.
Yeah,
people described it real obtusely. Like they would say it sort of had the body of like a big wolf or maybe a giant boar, but it kind of had the head of like a dog, but it walked upright.
Dog man head, yeah.
Yeah,
I
stuff
hear
like that.
all the time. Yeah.
That sounds like something from South Park.
I know. It really does.
Well, they said the thing would walk through town. Like after it really started killing people, it would just walk right through the middle of town, like daring anybody to come out. And occasionally, like a blacksmith would come upon him, and he would maybe ward it off because he had blacksmith things. Tools or whatever, a hot poker.
Yes, blacksmith with his blacksmith thing.
The stories are all over the fucking map, dude. Like people say it would kill people's children and then come at night to their window and like knock on the window and like peer in at them and shit. And like it's just gruesome. Anyway, literally King Louis XIV sent his taxidermist to the town. He goes, go find out what this thing is. It's like a giant wolf or something, and kill. And of course, the biggest rumor was werewolf.
Yeah.
Like the werewolf killing everybody in France. But so much that Marco Polo wrote about it in his book, Travels with a Donkey. He went through the town. He was like, why is everybody so weird
Sounds
in
like
this
a
town?
comic book. Or like it sounds like more...
Well, in the 1700s, that probably was a comic book. Mm-hmm. But fucking, it's documented. And they have records from the town of all the deaths, all the funerals and stuff for like a lot of years. And so the royal taxidermist goes to this town and can't find anything. They're hunting wolves. They're killing wolves. The saddest part about it is they really did kill hundreds of wolves that weren't attacking anybody. Yeah, it's terrible. And that's kind of depicted in the movie too. You would probably dig the movie. If you like Pet Sematary, you probably like Brotherhood of the Wolf. But he winds up just killing a huge wolf and stuffing it and putting like red eyes in it. And they brought it back to Versailles and displayed it. And the king has killed the monster. And meanwhile, the killings just keep going on.
Yeah.
And jury's out over what the thing is. Some people say it's a vampire, it's a werewolf. Some people say it's a maniac in a costume. In the movie, the Jim Henson Creature Shop did a fantastic job of recreating it, and they kind of like put weird armor on it and stuff. And of course, those don't really match the actual descriptions of it, but it looked cool as fuck.
Yeah.
And like from there, but there's also this weird like church conspiracy. Apparently, the church was mad at the government. And they were trying to say that this monster had been unleashed on the countryside because God was angry with the government, and like they were passing out. There was a lot of like deception, and a little bit of that kind of made its way into the movie too. And the thing was eventually killed by this dude named Jean Chastel, and he shot it with a silver bullet in a clearing. They finally had it surrounded, and like he shot it and it died. And everybody thinks he might have actually been the thing's keeper, and they depicted that in the movie.
So
and there's this whole weird thing.
So they shot it in the clearing, and then so now it's dead, and it's surrounded by people.
Right.
Someone should be able to say what this thing looks like or sketch it or
so
whatever.
There's something else fucking messed up happened. The king ordered it to be brought to Versailles. So all these, and most of the people were just farmers and stuff, they maybe had a pitchfork or a crappy rifle, but it took like hundreds of guys to hunt this thing down. Finally, they get it, supposedly, according to the story. And I don't know how much accurate this story was in the movie, but they hunt the thing down, they package it up or whatever, and they start making their way to Versailles by fucking horse and cart or whatever. And somewhere along the way, they stopped and they buried it. And it never made its way to the king. and nobody ever found out what it was. And they had this weird, foggy story about, well, it started to rot, and we had to bury it, and we don't remember where it's buried. And
They're hiding something.
Yeah.
So this big thing happened. So anyway, the killing stopped, but a lot of this, the problem with a lot of cryptozoology stories where you're like, we think we saw something in the woods, but there's like recorded deaths of this thing, and it killed hundreds of people, and it was crazy. Sometimes like it would be after like one of the herders, like a teenager or something. Apparently back in those days, it was a good job to have to be like the herder to take the sheep up in the mountains if you were like a teen, and fucking it would find them and like kill them. Sometimes the sheep would attack and run the thing off. Like 20 or 30 sheep would manage to run it off when it was trying to get after these people.
I have a theory.
Yes.
Okay, so it wasn't the church. They just like taking credit for stuff if it suits their agenda.
Yeah.
Totally.
What? Because they do that
No.
now. Yeah, hurricanes are for the gays. No, man, it's just a hurricane. It's just one. So instead, you said that the church was having kind of a tiff with
The government.
the government.
Yeah.
So the king and the aristocrats, the aristocracy.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think it was a deranged noble who was wearing something he probably made, maybe a makeshift
Sewed
costume.
up.
Maybe he added to it and took things away. Maybe that's why the accounts are different. And he was going around killing people.
That's a solid theory.
And he was like, dude, who's doing it for years. So he was like, "Pff, I'm never going to get busted." And when they finally surrounded him and killed him in costume and they found out
They
it was a
unmasked
French
him.
nobleman,
Yeah.
they were like,
They had to hide
can't
him.
let everyone know that a French nobleman has been killing people like a maniac in this town for years. The church is going to use this to do exactly what they want to do.
Yeah.
And the king won't be happy. We got to do something about this.
Yep. That's the weird thing. There is some weird conspiracy behind all of it. Something was killing everybody, and somebody didn't want anybody to know, but they wanted to impose fear on the countryside or the rural parts of France at the time. But you can totally Google it. I would say if anybody's interested in the story, start by watching Brotherhood of the Wolf because it's so fucking entertaining, and it's weird. There's a lot of like really good fighting.
It's a good action movie.
It's got
like
a good martial
French
arts.
people doing kung fu.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the Native American guy that is with the.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
At one point, he fights the thing, and he's just wearing like a loincloth and with like a tomahawk. And this thing's like the size of a Volkswagen. It's huge. You know?
Man versus beast.
Yeah, fucking like dozens of guys can't. It just like runs through houses and stuff. But they have this like crazy Indian, and he gets like on its level, and he just like strips down and takes a bunch of peyote and just gets a tomahawk and goes after it.
It's like, you're no bigger than a buffalo.
Yeah.
And they're like, what?
It's super bad. And it was directed by Christopher Gann, who later directed Martyrs. Have you seen Martyrs? Very painful. It's a rough one. A horror movie.
It's mainly just a torture flick.
It's where they
like-
skin these people alive and stuff to try to get them to attain martyrdom, and they're studying them.
It sounds very Jigsaw-esque.
And
It's a little. It's
more
A
artsy.
little bit like Saw, but artsy.
Yeah.
kind of like that. Yeah.
And what's funny is I actually I wanted to
Guy's
look
a
this up.
fucking great director. So there's a lot of like weird slow motion, like when somebody falls in a puddle and the water will come up and freeze a little bit and kind of go down. But I mean, it's exhilarating. It's a
Yeah.
good movie. It's a great monster flick. It's a great like church conspiracy flick. It's a great fighting flick. It's got a lot of elements.
got it all.
It's like Roadhouse, but for
Is there
horror.
a love story too?
There is.
Yes.
And what's funny that
Monica
you mentioned
Bellucci.
this about in France, because there is a cryptid in the United Kingdom called the Beast of Exmoor, which they say is an alien cat, like a big alien cat.
Alien.
I honestly think it was just because there's records of pumas and panthers or what have you, like big actual jungle cats surviving in the United Kingdom area. I'm pretty sure that in France, that's probably what it was. Is just some massive like.
Might have been. In the
Big
movie,
cat
I
prowling.
think they kind of, in the movie, they pretend like somebody was hunting and they brought something back from Africa and it mated with like a wolf and you kind of got this weird offspring kind of. I think that's kind of what they're alluding to in the movie. But
Yeah.
in reality, like nobody knows what the fuck it was. And it was very, very aggressively covered up. But a good way to, you can Google, I think La Bete, which is LABETE with a little thing. And, you can read about it or whatever, and it's a real popular cryptozoology story.
Now, both of you mentioned something that has records like journals and lists and notes and things like that of the creature or the rake.
Yeah.
One that I've always thought was very interesting is people writing about the smiling man, Have you heard about this? That people will have like night terrors, or they'll wake up in the middle of the night and there'll be a big, like a smiling man. He always has like a bluish tint.
It's turned into like a creepypasta, right?
Kinda.
Yeah.
But it actually came from people's sleep journals, and like all these people started talking, like meeting up and being like, oh, okay, so this is like a reoccurring thing that like hundreds of people are experiencing.
Weird.
And he always has like a bluish tint. He has a big smile that you can see even in the dark. And what he's wearing always varies. Some people say he has a long white beard and like a weird gnome's hat. Other people say he wear like a bowler hat and a suit. And it's always just different aspects of it. And I remember growing up, one of the kids in my neighborhood claimed that he saw it, and I thought he was just trying to like freak everybody out. But now, like thinking back to that, I'm like, shit! Like I haven't heard from that guy in 15 years.
See, I don't know about I don't know about that, but I know
Hat Man.
what's Hat Man.
You don't know Hat Man?
I don't know
No,
Hat Man.
what's Hat Man?
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah. Well, people see him in their dreams too. He's usually in a doorway or the corner of the room. He's just a fully black figure. You can't see any detail on him.
Well,
besides
see,
that
I've
he's
heard
wearing a
people
hat.
describe that, but they didn't refer to it as that.
Yeah, and there's like lots of theories. There's just like theory that he's like this interdimensional being that likes to terrorize people.
Fucking
I heard aliens once. It's like, you know how people have the theories about like aliens studying us and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the reason people sleep paralysis see them is because they got tranquilized while they came in. They just almost like they're people who have like toe tags. You know how you do that to certain animals you're researching?
Yep.
And it's like those are the people that aliens are studying. So like they're kind of waking up from the tranquilizer and right when they're finishing up, and then they get out of there.
Shit. Well, I had an ex-girlfriend that described recurring dreams she had since she was little, and that's exactly what she described. This big black figure. It was always standing in the bedroom, over the bed, possibly in the doorway.
Yeah.
And nothing ever really happened, but it was kind of a sleep paralysis sort of a situation. It was
Yeah.
real scary, and I was like, fuck.
So many people all over the world see him, and like unlike other shadow people, I don't know how much you guys like know about that, but they like move through the walls and stuff. He always comes in and out of a door or a window. He doesn't move through the walls like other shadow people do.
That's weird.
Yeah, and he sometimes has glowing red eyes, but he always just ignites pure terror in people. Everyone who's ever seen him never says, "Oh, I didn't really feel anything." They're like, "I was fucking terrified." Like,
Now, the skeptic in me is going to say, if you have sleep paralysis and you think that anything's in the room, terror is a normal response.
Yeah.
So I always got to be a little skeptical. But
when somebody has had sleep paralysis for years and years and they're used to it, and like a lot of times they have sleep paralysis and they're like, no big deal. I know my body's gonna like catch up to my brain at some point. But other times they see shit like that and they're like, I don't know, that didn't feel like just normal.
Shit.
Like, yeah, I mean,
we haven't dropped this one yet, but the next episode is on
yeah,
sleep
we're gonna do one on
paralysis.
sleep paralysis and the old hag and shadow people, aliens, all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yes.
So,
What do you have when you got a timeline on that?
No, I don't.
I'm fucking excited. So okay.
So we're real casual over I don't know how to live. We just kind of drop it whenever.
yeah.
Well, that's
I was like, we should do this because I personally have had sleep paralysis for a long time.
Yeah.
I've seen the old hag, hat man, shadow people, the cloaked figure. I've seen everything.
Holy
So
shit.
I'm gonna
paralysis.
I'm gonna describe all of my experiences and then we'll talk about other people's.
It actually runs in the family.
Yeah, my sister.
There's 4 of us siblings, and 3 of us have sleep paralysis.
and our nephew has
And our
sleep paralysis,
nephew.
Yeah.
And every time it's sort of like your brain wakes up before your motor skills kind of.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're still in like REM sleep.
Yeah.
But your brain wakes up and your body's still paralyzed
Yeah.
because you haven't completed the REM cycle.
Got
Because
it.
there are chemicals that are released to keep you from moving, so that you don't hurt yourself and act out your dreams while you're in REM sleep.
Which is why Ambien was so fucked up a couple years ago when everybody was sleepwalking and doing like people were waking up in cars with the keys in the ignition.
Yeah.
Like
It probably counteracted that.
yeah,
then.
yeah.
So yeah, and that's why and you just wake up before those chemicals wear off, and then you're like, oh fuck. So
Shit.
it feels just like if someone had tranked you. And
I
it,
always
like-
just blamed it on the anxiety of being in a new place.
And you know, sleep paralysis, a lot of it they say is a lot of it is caused by other issues like stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
Like that's why you're not sleeping through your REM. That's why you're waking up like in a panic.
Yeah, anything that can disrupt your normal sleep cycle, really. So a lot of people just sleep on their back and get it. They just can't sleep on their back.
But luckily, it only
very
lasts like
odd.
1 or 2 minutes. It might feel like forever to
Sometimes
you.
it feels like an eternity.
But it's
It
only
really
1 or
does.
2 minutes before it wears off, and you can like get up and stuff. So you can wait it out if it happens to you.
Dang.
Maybe I was visited by aliens. That's the
Maybe.
muffled noise.
Have you guys heard about
Did you
this?
check your butt? How was your butt?
I've heard people talking about
Not
like
great.
purposely avoiding REM sleep in order to like have more. Do you know anything about that?
Okay, well, no, I haven't heard that people are doing that, but it makes sense because non-REM sleep is when you get the most rest.
Okay.
Because your brain is actually like chilled out and you're not. REM sleep is when you dream, so you're getting less rest then. So maybe they're trying to not get REM sleep so that they're like a lot more rested when they wake up. They have more energy.
I heard people that were like out touring and stuff would do this thing where when they were only able to get a couple hours of sleep at night, and people would be like, how do you do it? And they'd be like, well, we just avoid REM sleep.
How?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
I don't
like-
know. I read that. I was like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Well, like the science of sleep is still very much out. It's not complete.
They
yet.
would have
Totally.
to know how long their non-REM sleep is so that they can set an alarm and wake themselves up before they would hit REM.
Yeah.
But
Supposed to be
that's
90
almost
minutes,
that seems
right?
almost impossible to me.
You're
I know.
supposed- It's like 3 hours. Like you're supposed to wake up after a 3 hour mark,
Yeah,
something like that.
something like that.
So if you
Yeah.
you want to wake up if you sleep 6 hours, you don't want to wake up on like the 7th hour or something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, and they say, somebody was talking recently about, they said that up until the advent of manufactured light, like 100 years ago or something, people went to bed at dark, slept about 4 hours, got up, and did things.
Yeah.
Either ate or read or had sex or whatever, and then they went back to sleep for another 4 hours, got up with the sun. And for like most of like the 10,000 years of our existence or what, that's how people actually slept.
Yeah.
And not until the manufacture of like street lights and things like that, where people had, light diffusion or light pollution or whatever like that, people started trying to sleep all in one thing. So, yeah.
How do you sleep, Casey? I know you work a graveyard, so like
I tried to teach
I have so much
myself-
fucking respect for how you manage your sleep now after you were telling me about it the other day. Like,
I have tried to get off, like I go to work at 11 p.m., get off at 7 a.m. if, said person shows up on time. So usually I get home around
that was
8
a
a.m.
shot at somebody. That was shitty.
Shot at a few people who are 15 to 30 minutes late, and I'm just like, please, I just want to go home. And everyone's starting to come down. If you guys didn't know, I work in a hotel, so people are starting to like, hey, can I get my car pulled around? I'm like, this isn't what I'm supposed to be. Like, I really need somebody to show up.
I don't blame you. That would piss me off.
they're
I'd be
like, this is
"God
the
damn it, I
morning.
wanna
Why aren't you
leave."
smiling? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh,
Oh yeah, imagine that the end of your day coinciding with the
Yeah.
beginning
beginning
of a
of
bunch.
someone else's.
Oh,
They're like,
fuck.
howdy ho, neighbor. You're like, fuck you,
I
Flanders.
would be such a raging bitch, dude. I'd be like, fuck off.
Well, it's funny is like people come down and they'll be like, "Can I?" I'm just like, I'm so drained. I'm ready to go home. They're like, "Can I get my car?" And I'm just like, "Absolutely, I'll bring
Yeah.
that around for you." And I like muster the strength.
Have you had any like interruptions in your sleep while you've been trying to sleep during the day? Have you been having like
I've-
different dreams or anything?
I've had different dreams. I haven't really dreamt much.
No?
like on the graveyard. And what's weird is I'll wake up and it'll be 10 o'clock in the morning. Like I'll go to bed at 9. I'll wake up at like 10 or 11. I'm like, feel wide awake. I'm like, no, I'm not getting up right now.
Yeah.
And I just like lay there and it'll be like noon and I'll fall back asleep and wake up at like 4.
That's how you beat the nightmares, man. Ghosts can't come out during the day. Everyone knows that. You beat the system. You game the system.
It's great until I'm off and I'm not at work. And so I'm like, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm just wide awake. And I'm like, well, my imagination's running wild. Did I hear somebody? Somebody in the house? I don't like living by myself.
You get all coffeeed up at midnight. You're like, fuck, I don't have to get up today.
Last night I got back from watching football with my family and downed a double shot, one of the little Starbucks can double shots, and was like, well, I guess I'm going to be up until 5, 6 a.m.
Oh, dude, I'm bad about
That's
that. Like,
rough.
if I'm feeling tired at like 11 or 12, but I'm going to be up a little bit longer, I'll pound coffee down or something, and then I'm just like, why did I do that? But I can't. I hate the feeling of being tired. I hate the feeling of being tired or having a headache. If I have a headache, I just start gobbling pain medicine. I can't take it. Like, it throws me so out of my whatever, fucking bad.
When I get a headache, I cancel plans. I get them
Yeah.
so rarely
Yeah.
that I'm like, oh man, I have not been tempered to
You
this.
guys are lucky. I've had migraines since I was a kid.
No shit.
Sometimes I get them 3 or 4 times a week, so I have to work through them. And I went through college with migraines like constantly.
Do you have like the
It's
special medicine you take or like the?
No, because none of that, that's all bullshit.
Is
Like,
it?
it doesn't work.
That's what I figured.
Like, the best thing you can get is a muscle relaxer because everything is so tense.
Yeah.
There have been times where I literally like bang my head against the wall because, I mean, you like daydream about drilling holes in your head because that's how bad the pressure
Pressure.
is. It's so bad.
Shit.
But you really can't do anything about it. I mean,
Unless you want to be doped up all the time.
Yeah,
Who wants
sometimes
that?
sometimes you can take a nap and it'll go away, but sometimes you'll sleep a couple days and it won't go away.
Jesus
so,
Christ. Waking up with a headache is way up near the top of my list of the worst fucking things ever.
Not to derail. Do you guys like the chupacabra?
I was actually
I was wondering if we would touch on that at all.
when it got brought up when you're talking about the Wendigo having a pet chupacabra, they had one in New Mexico in a cage, and it turned out to be a raccoon with severe mange.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. We've got the chupacabra, and it was just a
It was
poor thing.
Yeah, it was like a poor raccoon that was just had rabies.
Fucking hair was falling out of it.
Had
and
no
stuff.
hair. It was all skin because the mange just took over.
Jesus.
So you know a lot about the chupacabra? Tweets.
Yeah, chupacabra. God, I just love the chupacabra.
Which means goat
It's a
sucker,
goat sucker.
but-
Yeah, it means goat sucker. Chupa las cabras.
What'd you call my mom?
That's right.
Calm down.
Your mother sucks goats.
Hey, your mother. It's your mother. So
Oh,
Have a soda.
have a soda. Boom.
Yeah, no, it's supposed to be like this dog-like creature.
Yeah.
And again, it's some people describe it as like being really like broad and imposing, and other people say no, it's you're crazy, Ishmael. It's thin and it's gangly and hairless, and other people are like no, there's tons of hair. So again,
It's all over the
all over the place.
Some of the descriptions just reminded me of like a Tasmanian devil.
Basically, it's like most of it. It all kind of seems to be centered around like a really dangerous and evil looking dog, like a demented dog, like a hellhound, or like a giant Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
But like the closest description to what we might assume like a hellhound would look like.
I think someone just dropped off a honey badger in Mexico and just let it go loose.
I mean, there's
It
a
doesn't
lot
give
of
a
reports.
shit.
The chupacabra stuff, you hear about it a lot. Like that's one of the big, most regular. What do you think? I mean, do you believe in it? Do you
Well,
think
yeah.
what do you think it is?
What do I think it is? I mean,
In your heart of hearts, what is it? It's the chupacabra. What is it?
in my heart of hearts, I think that people are probably seeing like dogs.
Coyote.
A dog that's a crazy combination. It could be like a mastiff mixed with something with huge canines.
Mastiff with a
There are
dachshund.
weirder looking creatures that we accept because we see them than a fucking chupacabra.
Yeah.
Like what you hear the explanation of a chupacabra.
I mean,
That is true.
There
That is
are
just like
way
you said
weirder
about the
creatures.
giraffe.
Yeah.
What the
Tasmanian
fuck?
devils look pretty crazy.
Yeah.
They look like something
Yeah.
out of a nightmare.
100%.
Honey badgers look nuts, and you can't even you hit it with a sword, and it's just like no.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. My skin's so loose and solid, you can't hurt me.
Like honey badgers are if honey badgers were in America, then like anytime there was a gun debate, people would just always bring up honey badgers. and they would win. They'd be like, yeah, but you got to protect against the honey badgers.
It's coming right at us.
Coming,
You gotta
like, this
shoot
is-
it at least 3 times.
like, Johnny, why do you need a flamethrower? The honey badgers.
They're everywhere.
That's totally true. This is one of those things where maybe truth is like strangers in fiction about some of the, you're right, some of the animals that we're just like, go to the zoo to see are so fucking
We're
weird.
just so used to their existence.
Yeah.
So if you think about some of these things that people claim are real and we don't know for sure, and we're like, oh, that's crazy, just because we haven't seen it. But if you really think about it, it's like, well, we're just weirder creatures that we know exist.
Totally, definitely.
Even if chupacabras are weird dogs, that's still fucking awesome because
Yeah.
like the stories that people tell about them, some people talk about chupacabra being this scary thing that's like chasing them or coming after them or
Yeah.
like wants to eat them or like, oh, the chupacabra ate my cat and like, scared my grandma. But like other people talk about a chupacabra helping them. There are
Yeah.
people that there have been stories
Oh,
about
I actually haven't heard any of that.
Yeah, there's a story I heard when I was a kid about a family in New Mexico and they were being robbed at night and a chupacabra came in and like chased off the robber and like bit the robber and like they were like, yeah, there's blood on the ground. There's this guy's blood right here.
Shit.
Chupacabra bit him. And then they were like, and they claimed that like the chupacabra looked at him, kind of gave him like a look. They like, I can't explain it, but it looked at us like saying like, hey, everything's
Stay in school, kids.
Yeah, basically, like everything's okay. Like it put on its sunglasses and left.
A shooting star, the more you know.
Yeah.
So like some people say that chupacabras are good, and other people say that chupacabras are scary and bad. So maybe there's.
I think it's the
more than
unknown
one.
factor. Like if you think about Bessie and the Loch Ness Monster, you're like, oh, that's fucking terrifying just because you haven't actually seen it. You don't know for sure that it's like
Yeah.
real. Think about a giant squid though. Like if you never knew those existed and you came across one of those, you'd be like, that's a fucking sea monster.
Yeah.
Literally, if I were in a submersible and no one had ever seen the giant squid, shit, and I was like going down,
Yeah.
and that fucking you put that light on, and I saw it. I would literally fill my submarine up with shit.
Yes.
Also,
Be like, well, see you guys later.
on the comms, you just hear.
yeah.
But wouldn't you also be like, what am I going to do? No one's going to believe me.
Yeah, I saw this thing. It looked like kind of like a huge reversed penis, but it had like tentacles that came out of it. But in the middle of the tentacles, there was a beak, like a fucking bird.
The Japanese are like,
Yeah.
yes.
They're like,
tentacles.
seriously,
Go on."
Spencer, I'm trying to ask you about your cool underwater experience, and you're giving me old pirate stories?
Yeah. No, it was really there.
I think mainly when it comes to cryptids, what it is someone sees something they can't explain, whether it be just like a dog with mange or, a raccoon with rabies. It's like all deformed, and their mind fills in the blanks, which apparently is a real thing. Like you see something you can't explain, your mind starts filling in blanks, and you start
for
seeing
sure.
things that aren't there.
Based on like
Yeah.
controlled stimuli and all that. That's so obviously true. It'd be easy if like one guy. So I saw this fucking thing, and it had like a fucking like a lightning bolt shooting out of its ass, and like there was a, and it also it was really good at algebra, but fucking. And you go, that guy's crazy.
Our brains don't like gaps.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Because we feel like we can't center ourselves on that. But
Right.
when you start to have like a bunch of different people with the same story, that's where this stuff takes fucking...
Like the Jersey Devil.
Fucking, I just got back from New Jersey, and there's a lady. We went to a paranormal museum up there.
Yeah.
We didn't have time to hang out. We were just like had like a couple hours in like downtown Asbury, but there was a paranormal museum. We went in there. There's a lady sitting there. She's just like doing her nails, She's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And we were like, "What all do you have here?" She's like, "Well, we got a ton of stuff about the Jersey Devil. It's upstairs, and we've got some cauldrons from the Salem witch trials, and and a couple haunted Ouija boards." And she was just super casual about it, but apparently their big selling point is the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
Which I don't actually know that much about.
So many people saw the Jersey Devil.
So many.
Oh my
People
God.
can't see this because, this is audio. But Spencer kept like pantomiming filing his nails through that whole explanation.
He nailed it,
Yeah.
too. He did it perfectly.
Yeah.
I feel like she was chewing gum. Yeah, honey. We got the Jersey Devil.
You like
upstairs.
devils? We got one from Jersey.
But yeah, so and what was it? It was just kind of almost like a chupacabra, but like it fucking like it worked at a factory and listened to Bruce Springsteen.
Well, I think the Jersey Devil is like this
I saw Bon Jovi before they were big.
No, this woman had had a baby out of wedlock, or like apparently slept with a demon or the devil and gave birth to this kid, and then just like put it in the woods as a baby, and it just grew up to be
It's
the Jersey Devil.
bat-like. It's very big. It has red glowing eyes. But like so many people all over this town saw the Jersey Devil. Like it wasn't just like one or two people. It's like sighting after sighting after sighting after sighting constantly.
So it had to be something.
It had to be. That's why it's so popular, because it's like, what the fuck is this thing?
And it could. And here's the thing: is like you have the Jersey Devil. People are like, I know I saw it. Could have been a flying fox. Escape from the circus. Like those things are massive.
Yeah.
And you see that, and you're like, I can't explain that. And
Like
your
a
brain's
fox
like
bat or something.
Your brain's like, that's a devil. And you're
That's
like, yep.
the devil.
Yeah.
The giant squid was a cryptid until early 2000s.
Was it really?
Like they finally found one.
They
Yeah.
theorized
Early 2000s,
it,
you can look at look up the articles and the
I
pictures.
don't know how much
Early
money.
2000s. That wasn't even that long
Yeah.
ago.
Well, and that's why. And you talk about monsters. Somebody else goes, "Well, think of how weird. Like we thought a lion was a monster until we actually like captured one, or like you know."
Until like dentists started shooting them on their vacations.
Sub sandwich guys.
You know
the
what?
Jimmy John's guy.
I hope we do like discover chupacabras and like suburban dentists try to go like hunt them down and they just get massacred
meet
by
their
like
mat. That'd
8
be great.
chupacabras. They're like, "Oh, you thought we didn't travel in packs, sucker?"
Fucking poltergeist.
Oh.
Well, guys, this has been a fun episode. I think we're probably getting here close to the end. Hey, real quick, before we stop, tell everybody where they can find you guys and where they can listen to your stuff, and like give them a little bit of.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Mostly on like iTunes and Spotify. I Don't Know How to Live is the name of the podcast. And you can also send an email if you want, if you have any questions about any of the episodes, because I can get in contact with the co-hosts and stuff. Like, hey, they're wondering about this or wondering about that. Can you answer? It's I Don't Know How to Live podcast at gmail.com. And then there's an Instagram, I Don't Know How to Live podcast.
So guys, everybody really go check out their podcast. I Don't Know How to Live podcast. It is fantastic. And maybe tell a friend about ours too. And we hope you guys had a good Halloween, man. We hope everything goes well. And thanks for joining us for all the crazy stuff we did in the month of October. And I guess we're going to finish the year out now.
Oh, that's sad.
Hopefully you don't tell any more fucking jokes.
Yeah, I'll try to avoid that.
Oh my.